All right. Thank you, Brad. Let me share my screen. All right. So, as Brad said, my name is Zach, and I have been here with Presto Sports for going on about 8 years now. So, let's just jump right in and get started here. What are Presto Stats Record Books? It is going to be our brand new feature coming out, and it is going to be your replacement for Stat Crew Record Books. So, as you see here on the left, it's just going to show your stats from previous seasons. So we are going to be offering both team and individual leaders for season, career, and soon to be game highs. So on the left, we just have our season records showing. And one of the good things about this is it'll integrate directly with your Presto website. So if you're using us for stats, you will be able to pull directly from PrestoStats and pull your data in. So no more having to go stat the game, then download an XML, open up another software and upload it there. It's going to go automatically in there as soon as your game's done. And you'll also be able to export all your files into HTMLs and PDFs for use if you don't have a Presto website. So if you look here, we'll see our list of sports we're going to be offering. And this is just going to be the list at the start. We are going to add some more as we get going, such as golf. That's one of the big ones we're looking at adding down the road. And then on the right, you're going to see how you will upload files. So it's pretty simple. You'll click on a seasons button and you'll see all the seasons you have access to. And then you'll just select your sport and you'll have two options. You can either pull the data from PrestoStats, which will just pull it directly in, or if you have an old XML from, say, Stat Crew or DAC Stats or whoever, you can upload that directly in there. And it'll populate all of your data and give you your records. So, and here is what you're going to see more on the front end side. So this is kind of the look and feel we're going for just being able to export your data. Notice we do have a last updated so that people will know when you updated the last, and you can't say, well, why isn't this changed? Well, we haven't got around to updating it yet. Or the same way we're going to show all the seasons you have data in there for so that you don't have somebody coming back, or you may not have data in XML files going all the way back to the start of your program. But if you do, you can upload those. So the good thing about this is you're going to be able to go and upload data for as long as you want. If you have data going back 70 seasons, you can upload 70 seasons worth of data and have all your record holders from all time.
Hey Zach, as you move along, let's briefly talk about the ability for this to consistently update. So regardless of whether you have a Presto website or not, at the end of a game or once you update a stat file, so you can either update a single game stat file or you can update a season stat file, it'll automatically update this piece, right? And then you can take your HTML, move it over to whatever web provider you have. But if you're using a Presto website, it'll automatically update that page, correct?
That is correct. Yes, once you finish statting your game, it will automatically update this system for you so that you don't have to go in and manually do it anymore. And if you are a Presto web user, it's going to integrate directly with your website and immediately pull that data in. That's a good question, Brad. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as I was saying, you're going to be able to use as much or as little data as you want, and we're going to account for that and show. So if you only want to have the last 10 seasons show, you can't. If you want to show 100 players, you're going to be able to show 100 players.
The system does account for ties, as you'll see over there on games. So we can, at this point, the system will allow you to do 20 ranked positions. But as Zach's team is working on a lot of things with career stats, that can change probably very soon. So we'll be able to have the ability for you to go research who is 159th in your history in batting average or whatever it is. So So just a note there.
And another big thing we're going to allow is the ability to view a player's whole career at one time. So you'll be able to run a report and it will show you the player and it will show you all their seasons and their career totals.
Zach, we got our first question in from the Q&A. Uh, Nick was asking if this works cross division. So, for instance, Morningside used to be an NCAA Division II school, but now it's NAIA. Would it be able to show leaders across that change?
Yes, it would. So we do stat, we're going to do it based off of your team, not necessarily where this organization it was a part of. So you will be able to show as you progress through from NAIH or NCAA or NJCAA or wherever you go. It'll show all your records across all time. That is good. Correct. All right. I guess we can move on to our next thing here. So,
Real quick before we move on, got a couple of questions in the chat. Um, so for some really old seasons of like football, basketball, baseball, etc., they only have stats available as XMLs and not individual game stats. How do you handle that? So Zach, talk a little bit about how you just enter season stats.
yeah. So if all you have is a season XML, you would just come in here and click the upload XML and upload that season file, and it'll calculate just your season and career stats. Obviously, you wouldn't get game highs for those seasons, but you would still be able to get your season stats for your players and your career stats. And that also works similar to we're going to be building a feature so that if you don't have an XML file, you're going to be able to go in there and manually enter some stats. So if you know a player has 17 touchdowns, but you don't have a XML file to support that, we're still going to allow you to add that data so that your record books are going to be correct. So kind of a manual entry will be available as well.
And then I'll kind of run with this one for implementation. If utilizing a Presto website, will Record Book begin appearing Monday, or is there something you need to do? So Record Book is a paid service, but this will be so we're launching it officially on June 9. These will all be available for implementation. I believe July 1 is going to be when you can actually have these on your site. So we want to have enough time for lead up to make sure we get you all squared away and ready to go. So you can contact us now to get that going, but it should be available by July 1. Okay. I think that, oh, we got one more question. The XML seasons are already in Presto. Will that automatically import into record books?
So you're going to have to come in here and you would use this pull from PrestoStats button, and it'll just pull that data in automatically that way. We don't have the ability to easily pull all the data in at one time at this time.
That is a future development though, right, Zach? That you're working on an automatic poll?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think we're through with the questions for record books,
All right. Yes.
and we can always come back to some of these too.
So the next big thing we have is you may have heard we made the difficult decision to end support for exporting pack files. And there were a couple of reasons behind this. The biggest one was we see a lot of requests. Well, I have more than 40 players on my roster. How can I support this? And we couldn't. And that was due to a limitation in the pack file, and it only had so many spots we could put players. So with the removal of that, we're going to be able to increase that limit, and you're no longer going to be stuck just having 40 players on your active roster. And then the other big ones are we're going to be able to add notes to every play. So if you want to go in there and add a note, you're going to be able to. And then also removing character restrictions on player names. And the limit of you can only have a player name can only be so long is another big restriction we had that we were just limited by the pack file infrastructure. So We'll still allow ingesting pack files, but not exporting them.
But the nice thing is that you won't have to limit your rosters anymore to 40, so you won't have to play the guessing game of what relief pitcher is going to be traveling with your team that weekend. So it'll be a little bit easier for everybody. Now, there will still be a little bit of a limit. I think it'll go all the way up to 100, so you can go 0 to 99. But for the most part, I think we won't have much of an issue with that. But the nice thing is for next year, you won't have to worry about your 40 player roster limit anymore. Okay, Zach.
All right. So our next big feature we're rolling out is game leaders. And you're going to be able to put your top performers directly into your schedules. So as you see here on our example, if this is going to be basketball, and we're going to show our points leader, our rebounds leader, and our assist leaders for the game. And it's available today for all Presto Web 2.0 clients. And we have support for all network sports. So basically, that list you saw earlier, the only sport in that list that wouldn't show would be tennis. The rest of those we can support game leaders on today. And this is good just to kind of get a feel for who are your top players every game. You know, if you see, for example, we have Webb in our exam on this one that he keeps showing up in our rebound leader. So it's a good way to kind of get a trend for who our best players are.
Zach, we got a question about the 40 player roster limit. When does what's the specific timing of that going into place? Because I know we were holding until all collegiate baseball was complete, correct?
Correct. Yes. So we're waiting for the end of all collegiate baseball, and then we will make that change and start rolling it out. I don't think we have an exact launch date yet for that.
Okay. We will keep you guys up to speed on that, and we'll make sure we have an announcement on exactly when that's going to come. But yeah, it will be this summer. Unfortunately, we don't have the exact date on that, but we'll get that confirmed for you. Um, and just to confirm, yes, there will, according to our chat, there will not be pack file exporting starting in 25, 26. So beginning July 1. It may be even be a little bit before that, but I would recommend before the end of June, if you need pack files, go ahead and export them. We will make sure that we announce that in multiple different places, especially our Facebook page. So if you're not following us on Facebook, I always recommend people to do so because that's where we like to put a lot of those types of announcements. So make sure to follow that, but we'll try to get that out to everybody to make sure you know when that's coming, and we'll try to do that well in advance so you have a chance to get all that. Um, and then the next question is, how do you turn on the game leaders?
Sure. So to turn on game leaders, all you're going to have to do is just submit a support ticket, and they will get that turned on pretty quick.
Cool. All right.
All right. And our next new feature we have coming down is going to be Presto AI 2.0. So as you know, we've had Presto AI for a little while now, and it's given you the ability to auto write your articles using stats, but we wanted to make it better. So our new generation is going to give you better articles that are going to be a little more clear, a lot more creative, a little less AI sounding, and more like someone else wrote it. And the way we're doing that is it's just smarter. We've spent a lot of time ingesting more data into it so that it knows how to process data better and what more stats are. And that way it can integrate directly in easier and just pull those files from the events and pull your XMLs in to give you those seamless articles. And the other big one we're looking at that's going to be coming here soon is the ability to compare players and seasons against each other. So you're going to be able to say, okay, well, who how did my top five players do this year? And it's going to be able to look at those stats and kind of figure out on its own who were your top five players, who who was kind of your leading driver in success for who had your most hits, who had your most rebounds, and kind of use those stats to give you and kind of compare against each other at an individual and conference level.
Hey, Zach, I just want to go back to the pack file thing. I want to confirm something real quick. You can still get your old pack files from all games you've already done, correct? It's just on new games you won't be able to export a new pack file, correct? Beginning next year.
Um, so I'm not 100%. I do believe it will be for all games as well. You will not be able to export.
Let's get that confirmed
Yes.
because I believe there you should be able to get those, but we will get that confirmed for you guys. Okay.
All right. And as you may have heard, we do have football 2.0 stats. So we have rebuilt our stats platform from the ground up for football. And as you see here, it looks a lot cleaner. It's a lot more user friendly. It doesn't look as clunky. It kind of operates a lot more seamlessly. And a couple of the big things here is we do support 3 character roster numbers now. So that's just going to help easily identify your players. But the biggest one to me is it's mobile optimized. So you can have somebody sitting on the sideline with an iPad just statting the game away as long as you have internet connection. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details on Stats 2.0 football right now because we are going to be having a webinar on July 9th where we're going to do a really deep dive into uh, football 2.0 and just kind of walk through how everything works. So make sure to check that out. But this will be available for the fall. And I do want to note you will not be forced to use 2.0 football in the fall. You will have a choice between both the legacy and this new system. So you'll kind of get to pick which one you want to use.
And thank you, Josh Fowler, for jumping on about the pack file question. So just to identify that existing pack files will still be downloadable as long as you do not go back and edit the game. So
Okay.
you can still go back and get all of your pack files, and you will be able to still upload all of your pack files. I know that's always a concern, so wanted to make sure that we're very clear on that. The On Football 2.0, I highly recommend you join us on July 9. We're going to start ramping up some of our communications on Football 2.0. I want to just make sure you understand one important thing. If you're using legacy and you're not quite ready to switch, you'll be able to use either or. So you won't be forced into a brand new product. Want to make sure that you guys, if you like legacy, if you like the way it works, great. If you don't, you can still use this. We think this is going to be a great product. We've done extensive testing on this, and we're really excited to roll it out. The 3 character roster numbers I think is important to note. So if you have 3 duplicates in between 20 and 29, you can use your 22O and a 22D and a 23O and a 23D. So all of that will be available for you. Football Stats 2.0 is not an extra fee. That is something that we're rolling out for anyone who does get football. So if you are getting football next year, you will have access to this. Okay. Zach.
All right. And then the big one, what's coming soon? We are going to be completely redoing our primetime display for baseball and softball. So this is going to be a major enhancement. And I mean, you can see here just how much nicer and cleaner this one looks. One big thing I want to point out that we saw requested a lot is the pitch tracker for the current at bat that you see in the top left of just, hey, okay, we had a strike, a ball, a foul ball, just being able to see how many pitches we've had in the current at bat and what they were. And yeah, so we do not have a timeline on this yet.
I
So
think the important thing to note on this is when we say we don't have a timeline, we can't guarantee that this is going to be out for next baseball season. We wanted to show it to you because it's something we've been working on in the pipeline. There's a lot of things we have going on, but we want you to kind of see what's out a little bit further than a year. So we always like to kind of show people what we're concepting, what we're working on. And baseball, softball is like the first iteration of what our live stat display we're going to be transitioning into. We want to make those a lot more dynamic and a lot nicer for you, your fans. And actually, the big piece of this is broadcasters too, because we know that's a big thing for most schools is that your broadcasters are using these. So want to make sure that it looks nice for you. Okay. Zach, I'm going to go back and start answering some questions and getting you some questions on record books. So we had a few that we said we were going to come back to. Uh, Cost structure for the record books is going to fluctuate a little bit. You'll have an option to buy record books as a standalone product if you don't have any PrestoStats. That will be that will come in at $1,000. But if you do have PrestoStats in some way, shape, or form, that's when the pricing is going to change a lot. Your best bet is to get record books in combination with your all stats or your all sport package, which will give you a 40% discount, really, really deep discount on record books. So that's what that's looking like right now. So we'll be obviously announcing a lot more on that as we go next week. Um, is this going to be integrated into the stats database? Now that Presto handles NAI stats. NAI school doesn't have Presto website. It still have stats in the NAI database. So the record books, and this is going to help answer a couple of questions. Record books are not available yet for associations and conferences. So no, this won't be integrated yet for the NAI stats database. That we'll be talking to the NAIA and our partners at NJCAA. So there's a lot of different balls up in the air for those types of products. We're still working on that. That's going to be a phase 2 part of this project. So we talked about that. Um, so uh, record books are the cost breaks are going to be for stats users. So web users, it's going to be nice to be able to utilize it in tandem. There's a lot of benefit to doing that and having things automatically update on your site. Let's see here. Going down through the questions. Uh, let's see here. Will the current record book function be able to be utilized for conference record books? We already spoke about that. Um, is the record book only available for Web 2.0 or legacy? With that, record books are work on a separate system, so you don't have to have a Presto website in order to use record books. So anyone can use it. Um, in order for it to transfer your files automatically onto a web page, you would need to have Presto Web 2.0. But if you don't, or you have sidearm or something like that, you can always use the HTML files. All right. Next question is changes to the baseball score bug. Zach, are we going to be making any changes to the baseball score bug?
No, I believe the score bug will be staying the same, and we're just going to be working on the primetime changes.
Okay.
Your primetime stats displays.
Thank you. The question was about the $1,000 price point. That is not per sport. That is overall. So when you buy record books, you get record books for everything. Um, and yes, record books can be used with sidearm clients. You can log into our system, utilize record books, and then download your HTML files and create your HTML files there. All right. Clarify when record books are being launched. So we are doing our official launch and giving everyone all this information on Monday. That's when we're going to officially start selling record books. The date that it will actually be available on for utilization is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to it takes a little bit to implement it. So We'll go through the process with you, and then at July 1 is when it'll actually be available for you to log in and begin to use it. Our goal here and with our beta test group is to give you the opportunity to use this product and spend one summer setting it up and never have to spend another summer doing all this stuff again. That's the whole goal. Um, so yeah, that is that. Let me go back to the main chat. Uh, Zach, will we be able to download XML files for Presto? Just pack files are going away. Is that correct?
Correct. XML files will still be downloadable. Yeah, we're not going to touch XMLs.
XMLs are such an industry standard and they are not a proprietary software type, so we want to stay within that. Record books, the question came in is, are record books a one-time fee or an annual fee? Those are an annual fee similar to stats.
So we have a question here about, are there game records in the record book system or just season and careers? So as of today, there's not game records, but game records will be coming fairly soon. That is our next item. And I do want to clarify one thing on pulling the stats data. If you do not have a Presto website, but you are using us for Presto Stats, so for example, you're an NAI school and you're just statting with us, you will be able to pull your data from the NAI stats into the record book system. I want to just clarify on that.
Okay, a few more questions. Zach, do you have a preview of what record books might look like publicly on a Presto website?
Yeah, you go back here, it'll look kind of similar to this. It's kind of the feel we're going for. On the left, it'll just have your stats, and we are going to allow a little bit of, it will also take on the feel of the theme you're using is another big thing. So if you're using a theme and it has tables displaying one way, we're going to display the tables that way. So this is just kind of a generic HTML to show how we're looking for the structure. And it will be responsive as well. So if you're on a mobile, it will show one column instead of showing all three at a time.
So at the end of the day, if you're on a Presto site or really any site, when you're putting it in there, it should go according to whatever branding you've already set up on your site. Um, question on the 3-character roster numbers for football. Will those be available for the legacy interface or just 2.0?
I believe that's just going to be 2.0.
That's correct. All right. Next question. This is a really good one. Will it be possible to set minimum participation record on record books? For instance, if
Yes.
a player were to play in one game, probably shouldn't appear as career season record holder.
Yes, so that is our next item that we're working on. We already have some minimums in there, but we're going to give you full customization to set your minimums. So if you want them to have played 2 seasons or had 150 at bats or however you want to do it, you will be able to set the minimums to show for your school. And it will be your school specific, not at an organization level.
All right. I think we've gone through all the questions in the chats.
Here, I have one more
Yeah.
here, Brad.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the questions is, can you choose the categories that will be available to show for record book?
Good call. Yeah.
And the answer to that is going to be a phase 2 item. So it will be coming, but on the initial launch, we will not have that feature available yet.
A lot of these features that we're working on are not a year away. Most of them are a month or two away. So I want to clarify that is that we're working hard behind the scenes to get a lot of this ready before the end of the summer. Next question, can you choose to hide or show certain fields of a record book, or are those not customizable?
Yeah, that's similar to how I was just answering. Yes, it will be. You will be able to show and hide different fields here soon.
And that will come when we get the minimums all in
Yeah.
there too. All right, I want to open it up to anyone who wants to unmute and ask any questions you'd like.
So, Brad, you said that the three-digit numbers are going to be only with football 2.0. How if I put my roster in and it has, 29-0, 29D, that sort of thing, how is that if, the school across town or, down the interstate, whatever, uses the legacy version of PrestoStats football? How is that going to work?
So, from how I understand it, it will not. So, your roster will only, it'll have your three digits, but Legacy will only read the two. So, at that point, you're just going to need to do kind of what you've done in the past and provide your chart of, this is 20X and 20Y and all that stuff.
Okay, so like if I go 29-0, 29D, will what they see have two 29s then?
Yes, they would see a 229s, right, Zach?
Yes. In the legacy system.
Hey, Brad, I guess I'll unmute and Zach. So going back to record books, and I got in a couple minutes late, so you might have already answered this, and a similar question. So I have PrestoStats, the All Stats package, but typically we're only using baseball and lacrosse for that. We're using NLS for the other stats. Former Presto website user. We've been on Sidearm the last 2 years, but I continue to upload the game XML files into the Presto backend, plus all of the seasons of data that were there before, going back to, let's say, 2014, 2015, whatever it is. So for record book purposes, Zach, when you say upload from PrestoStats, are you really meaning uploading from the Presto backend? Is that what you're meaning? Or I want to clarify that.
Yeah, so if you have those stats in the Presto backend, they will pull automatically into this record book system.
Well, you said automatically, but I thought I had to hit upload from PrestoStats is what you showed.
So I get where you're going.
Yeah.
So you don't have to enter those stats in Presto as long as you upload the XML into there, just like you're doing, Eric. You just hit pull from PrestoStats, and it's bringing all of those in that you've uploaded. You don't necessarily have to be statting in Presto to get those new ones to come in.
Okay, so all of the historical seasons that I already have in there, and then even when we converted to Sidearm, I still go back and upload all the XML files for all the other sports, specifically for that, for record bookkeeping. This is before your product came out, because you can pull season stats and the files from the Presto backend. So I've continued to upload game XMLs into my Presto backend. That data is already there, and I'll be able to use that then, plus the historical stuff, going into the record book using that upload to record book function from PrestoStats.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And then as far as like you talked a little high level about pricing and things like that, I'm assuming once you get past the official launch on June 9th, then we'll have some documentation on that, because this is something I definitely want to consider for our school. Record books is something that we've really been trying to work at, and we have so much data already in Presto, so this might be a good solution for that. So I just want to get a better feel on that timeline and know when I can start going to my AD and say, hey, this is something we might want to look into.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're gonna have all that documentation starting to come out next week. I want to make sure that it's easy for you to go to your AD or whomever to give them exact numbers. And we don't want to wait until July 1. Absolutely. So we want to make sure you get all that. And if you need to talk to anybody about that, we can help you with that too.
All right. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Absolutely. Further questions?
Will this be an invoiced product or a web purchase, like the stats are?
It can be both, Chris. You can do it will be available on our Shopify site, so you can purchase it there with the iterations that we discussed. So you can purchase it as a bundle with All Sport. You can purchase it as a solo product, or you can if you have some intricacies that you need to get through, you can also contact our sales team and they can invoice you on that. I think obviously we prefer it to go through Shopify. It's a little bit cleaner that way, but there's definitely options for you there. And it's the same as stats. It's a July 1 to June 30 product. That's the license length.
Brad, I have a question from Houston Tillotson.
Yeah, sure.
Is Presto Sync still going to be available this year?
Of course it is. Yes. Presto Sync is still out there. It's still available. Yeah, no changes with Presto Sync.
Excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Brad. I have a question jumping back to Football 2.0.
Sure.
It seems that it's very similar to the flag football statting software, if that is already Football 2.0. I noticed that after a game is finalized, we weren't able to go back in and edit any plays. Is that going to remain the same, or will that be something that we can look forward to possibly doing?
Zach, I want to ask you that. I haven't noticed that yet, but have you seen any tickets on that, Zach?
I have not seen any tickets on that. I will look into that after this meeting.
Kennedy, if you could do me a favor and put in a ticket on that, I want our development team to take a look at some games because you should be able to go back in and edit. Yes, we want to make sure you're able to go back in and edit after the game is over. That's critical.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I have a question going back to the game leaders. Is that feature gonna be only available on 2.0 or is that gonna be available on Legacy as well?
Yeah. So it will only be available for 2.0 at this time.
Okay, thank you.
There was a question about getting something similar to a cap file added to baseball softball so you can see full season stats in the live stat display. I think that's a great idea. I don't think we'd necessarily need to do it like a cap file in terms of like having to share a file and do that if it's in the Presto system. I think that's something we can absolutely look at. It's a great idea. Thank you, David.
As you guys are updating stat platforms, Brad and Zach, and Josh, if you're also listening, is automatically bringing in like the team records. Like currently you have to set that up in like the game setup screen. Is automatically bringing that in. I mean, since like the data is already part of the Presto system, already exists in the Presto system elsewhere, I guess.
Sure.
That's something we can definitely look at adding.
At least to default it. We don't want to lock it in just in case there was a game that was missed or something like that. But yeah, I think that's definitely something we can look at. And again, guys, there's going to be some things that you're bringing up that are fantastic ideas that we're writing down, and we want to make sure that we're using that to help fuel kind of what our next phase is. A lot of the things that we do are fed through ideas that our IDs are giving us, so these are great. Thank you. I had another question in the chat. Is it possible to make a new stat training video for football 2.0 stats? Zach?
Yes, we're gonna have a new training video out. Also the webinar will cover a lot of things that will be happening next month. But yes, there will be a new training video.
Question on PrestoStats for tennis. Were there any tickets for the XTG output having random characters showing when uploading the sidearm? I believe that there were, and I will double check on that, Eric, to see when that was resolved. I believe it should have been resolved, but I will do a double check on that. There was some confusion, I think, on sidearm side as well, as far as how it was reading it. So we worked with sidearm to get that done. So I'll get that double checked. Okay.
Quick question. On the training videos, I noticed that there's not any videos up for like field hockey or lacrosse. Is there a possibility of doing these just because I think they're helpful for my student workers who like need to brush up over the summer?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to speak for Zach, but yeah, I think that's something we should definitely go ahead and get in the hopper. So I'll speak to our education specialist, and Zach and I will regroup after this, and we'll get something going.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Brad, this is Alan again at Houston Children. I managed to unmute myself. Would it be my question for PrestoStats Soccer is would it be possible to make it to where like you can't finalize the game until you absolutely input the goalie decisions? Because I see several files where they don't put in the goalie decisions.
No, absolutely. I think that's something we can absolutely look into. We'll wanna check a few things to make sure of anything that we change like that. We wanna look at the potential ramifications of that too, Alan. But yeah, we can definitely look into that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one for some of the other sports too, like lacrosse as well. That's a good point.
Goalie records, pitcher records, all that stuff.
Yep.
I'm with you.
So I'm
Mr.
still
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm still on Legacy for our website. Is with all the new features coming out on 2.0, can you tell me a little bit like how easy the transition is?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the transition, it's mainly a design transition. And speaking not as an implementation specialist, the main pieces of the migration are handled by Presto because it's going Presto to Presto. So there's definitely some ease on that. What I definitely recommend is you speak to someone who does this every single day, Morgan, and I believe that's who asked that. And I can get you in touch with one of our implementation specialists to kind of talk through that.
Brad, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
Morgan,
great. No, Nick McCutcheon's here. Perfect.
Morgan, I can shoot you an email after we get off the call today, and we can get some preliminary talks going, and then we'll have your CSM reach out to you with some pricing information. But as far as the process that goes from going from legacy to 2.0, it's pretty seamless. There's really very little work on your end because your content's already there. It's just going to give you a much more modern look on your website, and also the mobile responsiveness and the ADA compliance is going to be brought up to speed as well. I just took a look at your website. Yeah, you definitely could use a refresh, and I think a 2.0 upgrade would be fantastic for your site. But I'll definitely follow up with an email here shortly. And also, if you're going to be down at CSC, feel free to stop by, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, I think the main thing is like everyone's kind of getting to the point like if they're staying with Presto, if they're going to sidearm, like some of our conference opponents have gone to sidearm. I obviously like am a long time Presto user, so like I like the interface a lot. But I just obviously keeping current with like what people want to see, and like I said, our like you noticed our website needs a refresh. So I think with these features, obviously like you guys are making a good argument like for us to stay with Presto, but I just want to know like kind of what that process would be like. So we can definitely touch base after this if that's that would be helpful.
Absolutely. I'll follow up with an email here shortly, and we'll get you all the information you need.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, Nick. Further questions?
Is there still work being done on tennis in terms of like XML uploads and what you're seeing in the back end? Because I still see a lot of holes.
Yeah, we're still plugging a few things, Chris. And I'll tell you what, if you can email me after this and just data dump on me everything that you're seeing, that I just want to make sure that I can get you like exactly what we're working on, what holes still need to be plugged. So, and you're a great resource for that. So if you could send that over to me, we'll make sure we get it all in the hopper.
Can do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Segan, Reverend Jackson here from North American. I had a quick question about soccer stats. Weekly we're doing defensive and offensive player of the week for soccer, but we don't have anything that we can actually show for some of our backline defenders. The goalie stats are and keeper stats are kept, but tackles and things like that are not. I was wondering, is there a way we can add that to the soccer stats?
I think that's something we can definitely look into. I think the hard part when you get into those is that you're gonna run a risk of those not being kept well. But yeah, it's definitely something we can take a look at. If you have a specific list of stats that you would like us to look into recording, we can definitely look into that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any further questions? These have all been great. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Got a lot of great questions, a lot of things that we want to talk more with you about. So, if you are going to be at CSC and NACDA, please stop by one of our booths there, and we can certainly talk more about any of the things that you had brought up or more. So, if you think of something afterward, feel free to shoot any of us an email, or otherwise we will see you at CSC and NACDA. So. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Brad, one more thing. I just wanted to tell the people at Presto. I mean, I've just seen continued improvements on the product, and I love what y'all do, and I love how y'all are, the NAIA stats providers. So I just wanted to give y'all, it's nice to, be told y'all are doing a good job, and I really like the direction y'all are going.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Alan. That means a lot. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.